Right, good afternoon to everybody. I hope you enjoyed your weekend just gone. Thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It is the 24th of June. We are pretty much on the final week of the month, and we will later, as the week goes on, look at the month of July. Before we continue with the video, be sure to hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. It is very much appreciated. And certainly there was plenty of content back over the course of the weekend. The Tropical Outlook on Saturday, and also the Global Weather Report edition 97 was uploaded yesterday afternoon. Obviously, there was no live yesterday. I was down in Edinburgh with my wife at a concert, but it's back to the grind once again. And certainly, the weather is helping the Monday blues. Certainly, temperatures are approaching the warmest levels of 2024. Many areas up and down the country is likely enjoying the warmest day of the year so far. And it looks as if we are going to crank things up even further, especially further south of the UK in the coming days to come here. And then we do have the chance of something a little bit fresher moving in during the second half of the week. We are going to see a drop off in temperature over the northwest and the north as we progress into tomorrow and beyond. But it's a frontal system is edging in from the west. We're going to increase cloud and outbreaks of rain from the northwest, and that will steadily move east, southeast over the next few days. We are going to eventually reorientate the upper air pattern, and that will change our wind direction. At the moment, we've got a fairly brisk southwesterly wind importing very pleasant, warm conditions from the south and southwest. The North Atlantic Oscillation is firmly positive at the moment, so that means we've got the trough over Greenland, the North Atlantic, and we've got twin ridges, one over eastern North America and the other over the northwest of Europe, and that is the warm setup that typically drives summer warmth at this time of the year. So like I said, let's quickly go through what the temperatures are looking like. So we've got a 26 at Aberdeen Dice Airport at the moment, a little touch warmer at 26.7 at Aboyne. We've got the 24s and 25s even around the Murray Coast area at the moment here, almost mid-20s in the Edinburgh area, low 20s further west along the AM8 in Glasgow. We've got some very pleasant 24s across the western provinces of Northern Ireland, a little bit fresher further east. And even down across the Dublin area, we've got temperatures close to 26 Celsius, warmest temperatures here since last September. In many areas, warmest temperatures since last September to be exact. But you can see here as we move further south, mid to even high 20s, especially from the Midlands, east and southeast, a little bit fresher along the coasts, as you would expect with onshore breezes. And then as you go down towards the Devon and Cornwall, we've actually got a considerably fresher feel to things, only in the upper teens to around the low 20s at best. And along the south coast of Ireland as well, we've only got the 15s. For example, Johnstown Castle, 15.1. Cross to Waterford, it's only 15 Celsius as well. Roaches Point, 15.9, and Sherkin Island, 15.8. So considerably fresher here compared to the rest of Ireland and also the rest of the UK as well. Looking at the current temperatures across the continent here, and we've got a fairly warm picture, but it's nothing really exceptional for late June. You would expect to see plenty of heat, temperatures close to 40 Celsius in parts of Iberia, for example, down across Greece and Turkey. We've got the upper 30s present, also a little bit fresher in parts of northern Scandinavia and even into Poland and the Baltic region as well. We've got some slightly fresher temperatures to speak about. So this is the month-to-date temperature anomalies across the continent. You can see here we remain below average at the moment here. What's going to be interesting is this final week of June, the warmth that we do have. How much does it eradicate this cold anomaly that we've got over the UK? I think we're going to be slightly below average when all things are said and done here, but we are going to chip away at this anomaly here. Some very cool conditions across Iberia, France, up into the Low Countries. Quite a big turnaround actually over Spain and Portugal. We've had quite a chilly week, and that has actually changed the anomaly from warmer than average to below average. France, Low Countries, like I say, much of Germany below average as well. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of flooding in recent times, and that has been keeping temperatures subdued for the time of the year. This is the past 7 days. You can see here, average on the western side of the UK and Ireland, also warmer than average across central and eastern areas of the British Isles. There's that fairly cold anomaly for the last week in Iberia, southern portions of France as well, and then obviously down across further east over the continent and southeast, we've got a firm warmer than average anomaly. Generally speaking, in the last 5 days here, you can see here warmer still across parts of the UK and also down across Italy, the southeast and the east of Europe. It's been warmer than average over the last 5 days. There's that firm cold anomaly over Iberia and much of France. Quite a big contrast here between UK and even France in terms of the temperature anomaly. Severe weather has been an ongoing problem over the weekend, late last week as well. Here's an interesting, stunning satellite loop over the Balkans, shown on Twitter here by Millows Milik, showing the Saturday afternoon blow up of thunderstorms. You can see here the incredible flare up, obviously winds coming in off the Adriatic or the Aegean. I always get mixed up between the Adriatic and the Aegean, but winds coming in, hitting off the mountains, and then allowing the blow up of convection over the mountains. And these did produce not only flash flooding in areas, but we also seen some very, very large hail. Also an interesting image here showing a massive mesoscale convective complex here that blew up over the Balkan region as well. This is a mesoscale convective complex, or an MCC, is a large scale area of organized thunderstorms that can run over a given area, produce massive rainfall over the space of several hours, and also incredible lightning displays, damaging winds, and large hail. And speaking of large hail, we have seen some very, very nasty hail in parts of southeastern Europe here. So look at this here, the damage that has been caused by massive hailstones. Parts of Bulgaria, Romania has seen some huge hail. Check this out here. This was in Bosnia Herzegovina, and this is it's quite remarkable to see that this is actually what fell out of the sky. Now, also we had a tweet as well showing that Belgrade in Serbia had a maximum on Saturday afternoon of 37.5 Celsius, one of the highest values measured in June in Belgrade since 1888, with a humidity level of allowing the humidex level, or the real field temperature, which is a combination of humidity and temperature, 40 to 45 Celsius during the day, with a minimum temperature to start off Saturday at 25.8. So obviously when you've got instability within the atmosphere and you've got this level of heat in the low levels of the atmosphere, that creates a very explosive, unstable environment. And that has been the ongoing theme for days on end now across parts of Central and Eastern Europe, also parts of France, also parts of Iberia as well. We've had a lot of severe weather in recent weeks, and this has really been quite problematic in terms of damage to crops and agriculture as well. So you have to think of that side of things also. So looking at rainfall over the next 5 days or so here. So this takes out to Friday 21 UTC. And you can see here not an awful lot of rain falling across the bulk of England, even Wales as well. We've only got a small amount of rain falling in the next 5 days or so here. You can see a little bit more across Scotland in terms of precipitation, and there's that main boundary here. High pressure, quite strong high pressure at that, over the near continent. We've got low pressure out over the Atlantic with a frontal system edging in from the west here. And what that's going to do is it's going to continue to drive that warmth out of the Azores up into the UK and Ireland here, and therefore we are going to continue to see the temperatures rise. So these values today of 26, 27 Celsius, we may approach 30 Celsius. And I know a couple of weeks ago I said I can't see a 30 being achieved this month. Well, I might be wrong with that here, because I think we're going to get pretty darn close over the next few days here. This is the GFS Ensemble 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies for the next 5 days. We've got a lot of high pressure to the east. We've got the trough. There's that positive NAO pattern reflecting quite nicely in the upper air setup over Europe here. We've got this cut-off low over southwest Iberia that is continuing to generate showers and thunderstorms and cooler than average temperatures, may I add. But what we will see eventually is in the 6 to 10 a change in the upper air pattern. We're going to start to flatten things out. That area of high pressure is going to split. We're going to have one piece going west and one piece going eastwards here. We've got a little bit more troughiness trying to drop in from the northwest here. But notice something, the position of the high, it's now west of the UK and Ireland, and that might start to generate a little bit more of a fresher, cooler northwesterly component to the air mass as we move towards the 29th and the 4th of July, and then the 11 to 15 day. You can see here the position of the high still to the west of the UK, albeit just slightly, and it will mean that we have got a dry theme overall. So speaking of precipitation, this is the model's precipitation anomaly for the next 7 days, still firmly below average. So I do think June will wind up below average in terms of rainfall, and we'll also will see likely average to slightly below average temperatures. We'll obviously have to factor in this final week of warmth that had been forecasted, by the way. If you go on the markvoganweather.com and check out my June outlook, I did specify that we would likely have one thing that was slightly wrong, if I'm being honest, possibly, is the fact that I said it would be a cool first half of the month, but it would also be a warmer second half of the month. I think that's been pretty spot on. But in terms of rainfall, I thought it would be a dry first half and a slightly wetter second half, but it looks as if it's going to wind up a fairly dry final week to 10 days of June for the UK as a whole here. So this is the upcoming 7-day period here, and then as we continue to play through this sequence, takes us into the first full week of July. Sorry, you can see here that we remain below average in terms of temperature anomaly, rainfall anomaly. Let's have a look and see what the temperatures are looking like. Upcoming 5 days, firmly warmer than average across the majority of the continent, not just the UK and Ireland, but the continent overall. We've got slightly fresher conditions across southern Iberia. That is courtesy of low pressure in the vicinity. Then as we move into the 6 to 10, you notice here that we actually go slightly below average. Now this may be slightly overdone in terms of cool anomaly, but nonetheless it looks as if as we progress through the course of this weekend, or week, I will get there eventually, this work week, we are likely to see a drop off in the temperature as we push towards the latter half of the week and into the weekend. Then the 11 to 15, which is the 4th through the 9th of July, you can see here slightly warmer than average generally. Notice here quite a lot of cool across the heart of Europe, if you notice, with this setup. So let's have a look and see what we are looking like in terms of the ECMWF. We'll look at that today since we looked at the precipitation anomaly. Let's actually look and see what it's showing all the way out to the 3rd of the month. And let's go to the 4th, in fact. So this is Thursday of next week. And you notice here that we've got very little in the way of rainfall across the southern half of the UK. Somewhat wetter across the northwest, with frontal systems always closer by. But look at Europe. We're continuing to see this wet pattern as we move into the summer's 2nd month. And that is rather interesting, actually. That is quite a wet theme overall. And it doesn't look as if we're generating this hot, drought-stricken pattern even as we step into the summer's 2nd month here. We've got a wet theme continuing to drive home. So that is something that we need to keep an eye on, and that could certainly be quite welcome news, especially if we can get rains further east and southeast into the continent. We've got drier soils here, and it would certainly be welcome to try and see some of that moisture getting into Greece, into Turkey, up through Bulgaria, Moldova, Ukraine, into the Baltic region as well. We need to get more in the way of moisture here, but obviously we don't want to see the flooding. We don't want to see the damage in severe weather with hail damaging crops, etc., etc. That is something that we don't want to see. But let's go back and look at the overview chart and see what it's showing. We'll look at the broader picture. You can see here there's an area of low pressure with it looks like a rather potent front as we moved into the early portions of today. That frontal system edging in from the Atlantic here continues to drive that southwesterly flow. If we look at the 850 temperatures, you can see here warmer air present at the 5,000 foot level. Nothing exceptional. If you notice, we've not got the orangey colors or even the red colors, but enough warmth in the mid levels with the sunshine, with the southwesterly wind to allow the temperature to be in the upper 20s in quite a wide area of the south of the UK here. So go back to the overview chart here. You can see that we actually start to edge a little bit of fresher air into the northwest. And then eventually what happens is we start to see a little bit of a change taking place, keeping an eye on this area of low pressure, a fairly deep area of low pressure, not that far to the west of the UK. Now, this is a little change in the overall model output compared to where we left things off with the European outlook back on Friday, saying that this low would bring a thundery situation developing during particularly the middle portions of this work week. That doesn't look as if it's going to be the same outcome as we first thought. Now, we are going to see the possibility of more rain showers, thunderstorms in the north of the UK here, but generally speaking, that area of low pressure will send fresher air in eventually, and then it stays generally to the north instead of it being further south and southwest like we thought in last week's output from the models. It doesn't look as if that's going to be the case, and then we've got another feature that kind of decays as it moves into an area of high pressure over the British Isles. And then as we continue to play through, you notice here, remember we looked at the 500 millibar, we had that flattening out of the pattern, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, westerly airflow, and that would generally be fresher air moving in off the relatively cool waters of the North Atlantic. And then keeping an eye on that area of high pressure to the southwest, that may try to build its way a little bit further north and pull more of a northwesterly airflow in during the upcoming weekend here. So we are going to steadily cool things off, but before we get there, we're actually going to crank the warmth, especially across England and Wales over the next few days. So, tomorrow and Wednesday is likely to be slightly warmer than today. In the south, further north, we are going to start to see a drop off in the temperature, courtesy of that frontal system bringing more in the way of cloud, more in the way of outbreaks of rain. Instead of having mid-20s like we are seeing today, we're probably going to see upper teens to low 20s, and then temperatures kind of steadily drop even further as we progress through the course of the weekend. But further south, we're going to see the continuation of sunshine, and as that frontal system edges in, we're going to see the warmest temperatures of the entire week and the warmest temperatures of 2024 thus far. It's been warm today. It's likely to be slightly warmer over the next couple of days, and then we see the winds changing direction from southwest to west, and then possibly late week into the weekend a more northwesterly component. So if we go back to the 850 temperature profile here, you can see here that we see that area of low pressure winding up. As it approaches, it may start to try and pull some of this heat out of the heart of Europe into the UK. That was part of the overall idea from last week, but the area of low pressure's position is now changed, and that is quite key because we thought it was going to go down to the southwest, pulling that heat in, generating showers, thunderstorms, flash flooding, etc., etc. That does not look to be the likely scenario now. And then as that system moves in, we're going to start to push in fresher air as that feature wraps that cooler air in from the west and northwest here. And by the time we reach Friday, notice here we've got a fair amount of heat moving up into the central and eastern areas of Europe. We need to keep an eye on that. Also quite a dynamic situation. So we could see some very hot conditions as we step out of June and into the month of July across central and eastern areas of the continent here. So plenty of reason to stick around here in the channel. Like, share and subscribe. Do check out the content that was released back over the weekend. And obviously this upcoming weekend, I'm going to have a tropical outlook and a live stream at 4 p.m. on Sunday. So I hope you can join me for that. And there will be a reminder of that as we progress through the next several days here. So stick it right here in the channel. Thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye for now.